You're thinking about moving to Fort Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, and you're thinking, what do I need to know before I move? Well, living here and not originally being from here, I'm going to show you the pros and the cons of living in Lauderdale-by-the-Sea. So this video is about the pros and the cons of living in Lauderdale-by-the-Sea. If this is a question you've asked yourself, stick around to hear the answer. Giving you the pros and the cons as we see it and what have been conveyed to us by friends, clients, and folks we chat with while visiting Lauderdale-by-the-Sea. So here's kind of a quick high points of what we're going to cover. A quick intro to Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, the pros and the cons, and then we'll wrap it up. Welcome to our channel. I'm Kevin Morris with South Florida Homes, Keller Williams. We're trying to grow our channel and would appreciate any comments you may have or if you would consider subscribing. We get calls, texts, and emails from folks looking to relocate and move to Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, and we love it. It's wonderful. If there's something you'd like to know about Lauderdale-by-the-Sea or anything else, please feel free to drop us a note in the comments below, and we'll get back to you straight away. Lauderdale-by-the-Sea stretches from the Atlantic Ocean, in the back you can see it for us, okay, all the way west down to the Intercoastal Waterway. And with beautiful marine sculptures all along Commercial Boulevard, which is the primary access into Lauderdale-by-the-Sea. Lauderdale-by-the-Sea is about 1.5 miles square, so it's not that big, but it's very, very homey. It's very, very much like an old Florida beach town. Let's go ahead and get kicked off with the pros. First of all, Lauderdale-by-the-Sea does not allow tall buildings or those over 3 stories. This can also be perceived by some as a con because it limits the number of residents and the number of businesses that can actually be located here. We, however, see it as a pro because you can see the beach and the town from pretty much anywhere you are. Most others that we've talked to feel this is also a definite plus because it helps to maintain kind of that small beach town vibe. And actually, it's a source of pride to many of the residents here in being different from the neighbors to the north and the south. South being Fort Lauderdale, north being Pompano Beach, which has a lot of high rises and has a lot of bigger buildings. The town kind of exudes, for us, it's like a nice little South Florida beach town vibe. It's kind of hometownish. And the restrictions have actually kind of helped out in keeping it kind of a mid-century modern architecture, giving it a really, really distinctive look, which we think is actually very, very pretty. And also gives it kind of its own little unique identity. Residents also kind of think of the town as kind of a flip-flop kind of town. It's really, really laid back, really easygoing. Everybody waves to you, everybody's going around. And as you can see, most folks get around here on bikes and walk, which kind of leads into the next thing. Basically, everything is right here. You really don't need a car to enjoy Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, okay? Everything you need is located within a few steps of, well, basically everything else. We're standing here in the middle of the square and you can see pretty much all the restaurants, the beach, everything else is kind of hanging out right here. There's also a free Pelican hopper. It's kind of a trolley. There's also a sun trolley that kind of takes you anywhere else you want to go. Fort Lauderdale, Pompano Beach, some of the bigger areas if you want to go shopping outside of Lauderdale by the beach. But people here basically, they hang out, they kind of sit around. You'll see some of the chairs that are set out here. They talk, they snack, they read, they relax. Basically what you do is you see folks that were doing all the things that we used to do before we got permanently connected to our cell phones. Let's talk about one of the big things here, the weather, okay? Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, like most South Florida towns, has a tropical climate. The average annual temperature is about 76 degrees Fahrenheit, with August typically being the warmest at around the low to mid 80s. January, with an average of about 68 to 69 degrees, is the coolest. Due mostly to fall and summer showers, the average rainfall around here is about 60 inches, so it does get a fair amount of precipitation. But the climate itself makes it ideal for those who want to spend a lot of time outside and who actually looking for a year-round outdoor, outside living. Well, you can't talk about Florida beach towns without talking about the beach. And the beach here at Lauderdale-by-the-Sea is recognized as South Florida's beach diving capital. It's a Blue Wave certified beach, which is a mecca for scuba divers and snorkelers. The Blue Wave designation is really, really important to those of us that spend a lot of time at the beach because it talks about being a clean and environmentally responsible beach community. Cool thing about Lauderdale-by-the-Sea is the coral reefs are less than 100 yards off the beach, which means you can actually walk out, swim out, and snorkel out to the first reef. Kind of the cool thing we've noticed, especially during the high season, is that there are actually divers, not today because the seas are a little rough, there's actually divers walking through town with their snorkels, with their dive equipment, actually wearing some of the little shorty wetsuits. Also, you can paddle, you can kayak, paddleboard, skim, kiteboard, right off the beaches. Kind of a nice beach thing. One of the things that we thought was kind of cool is that Lauderdale-by-the-Sea is home to the SS Copenhagen. It's a 19th century British steamship that wrecked in 25 feet of water in May of 1900, actually creating one of the initial coral reefs. It's a Florida recognized archaeological underwater preserve, and it's listed on on the National Register of Historic Places, it's a very neat and cool distinction to us. If you like to snorkel, it's also a great place to go check out the snorkeling. You can't talk about going to the beach, okay, without talking about finding a place to park. And actually, Lauderdale-by-the-Sea has actually taken that on for us, okay? So let's kind of start with the basics. So what do most beaches have in common? They have really, really crappy parking. The view is blocked by a bunch of SUVs or a bunch of big trucks, and then some big oversized SUV trying to jockey into the one space that's designated for a subcompact or a compact car. At Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, you don't need to worry about that because the parking spots are elevated. At Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, you don't need to be on the beach or elevated above the beach. The traffic is blocked well before the beach starts, creating kind of a festival-like atmosphere. One of the things that we like, and you'll see down here, is that in the fall, during the high season, every Friday night they have concerts down here. Our kids who have come down to visit us, they love going to the concerts. We've seen some great music and some great bands and have some great memories that have come out of that. It's also kind of refreshing to see an atmosphere where people aren't packed into the beach fighting for the next great parking spot or generally just kind of pissing each other off. As you've seen so far, okay, one of the high points of Lauderdale-by-the-Sea is dining and entertainment. We've talked a little bit about the concerts they have going on. There are a ton of bars and a ton of restaurants basically catering to anything that you could want. One of our favorite places, I'm gonna swing around to show it to you real quick, is Oceans 101, right over here. Okay, we like hanging out there. Great food, great atmosphere. We go there to watch the football games in the fall. For breakfast, you can go to the Bean and Barnacle in the Plunge Beach Hotel. Casual restaurants include the Pier at Anglin's. In Lauderdale-by-the-Sea, there are a lot of bars and restaurants and coffee shops, as you can see looking around here. Basically something that caters to everybody for everything you could ever want. And they're adding new stuff on almost a regular basis. One of our favorite places right behind us is Mulligan's Beach House. It's one of the first places that we actually were able to visit when we first came down here. We brought our kids here. The kids love it. It's one of the places that we have to bring them to when we come back down, whenever they come back down to visit. Lauderdale-by-the-Sea actually isn't just a beach, and it isn't just places to hang out and eat, okay? There's a lot of things that go on here. As you can see right now, we're getting ready for the big 4th of July celebration that's coming up. The holiday kicks off. It'll be kicking off in the morning with a parade, and kids come out with their bikes. They'll be looking around. There'll be fireworks displays. The other thing is that later on in July, we have a 2-day lobster season. It's called Bugfest by the Sea, which is lobster diving competitions, seminars, and stuff like that. And of course, we have the Halloween and everything else. Throughout the entire season, there's all kinds of stuff going on down here at Lauderdale-by-the-Sea to kind of keep you busy, as if hanging out, reading, relaxing, and just soaking up the sun and soaking up the sand isn't enough for you. Some of the parks and relaxation areas, there's public parks everywhere. We'll walk around and show you some of those. The Beach Pavilion, which we've shown you, is another restful spot. People come and hang out there and you can just sit down and relax and watch things. The town also has parks, tennis courts, shuffleboard courts. In our opinion, as well as many others, the top features of the beach that makes Lauderdale-by-the-Sea the best beach is the courtyard that's in here. It's just beautiful, it's peaceful, it's relaxing, everybody can kind of hang out. Okay. And best of all, it's free. There's not a guy trying to shake you down for $1 to get in. There's not some kind of an obligation to buy a drink or buy something to eat. It's just basically show up, sit down, relax, and enjoy yourself. The pier. Everybody's heard about the pier. Basically, the pier, it's just a pier, right? Nope, not at all. Lauderdale-by-the-Sea has a quality pier, okay? This isn't just a pier that for people to show up and fish on and hang out on. This is one you can actually feel good about bringing somebody to, bringing out-of-town visitors to. It extends almost 900 feet over the Atlantic. Now, some of the piers around here are strictly for fishermen. They smell like bait. They've got a bunch of people sitting there hanging out with rubbers on and waders on and all that kind of fun stuff. But the pier here, people hang out. There's all kinds of fun stuff here. There's sightseers that stroll out. And the cool thing is the pier itself is open 24 hours a day. You can come out and hang out at the bait shop. They actually even have music festivals sometimes on the pier. On to the cons. There's only 2 ways into this cute little town. One is coming down Commercial Boulevard, which I'll swing around and show you. It's right behind us. Okay, that's the east-west route in. The other one is the north-south route coming down Florida A1A. It does make ingress and egress a bit difficult and a bit challenging, especially during the high season. The price of real estate is high. It is not cheap to live here. With a total of 1.5 square miles and the height restrictions in the building, the proximity to the beach makes for a very limited number of residents. The median price for houses around here is $441,000. Which is about 28.7% above the national average. And rentals average about $2,000 a month versus about $1,000 a month for the national average. So it's not cheap to live in Lauderdale-by-the-Sea. Actually, the overall cost of living at Lauderdale-by-the-Sea is about 22% higher than Florida and 25% higher than the national average. Groceries cost more, housing costs more, transportation costs more. Despite having the local transportation, despite not needing a car, it's still about 16% higher than Florida overall and 26% higher than the national average. Even the miscellaneous costs, which include clothing, restaurants, repairs, entertainment, all that kind of fun stuff, okay, it's about 5% higher than Florida. But this is still a place not to be missed. The weather. The weather, as we talked about earlier, is a pro. It's also a con, okay? Lauderdale-by-the-Sea is a seaside town, and it's subject to storms and it's subject to hurricanes. We also get what's known as a king tide. These can be as much as 12 inches over the normal high tide. Okay, now these are tides that occur during a new and a full moon when the Earth, the moon, and the sun are all aligned. Okay, so for those of you that are into astronomy, it's when the perigee and the perihelon are lined up. So what the heck are those? Well, I'm no astronomer, okay, and I don't even play one on TV, but the perigee is when the moon's orbit is closest to the Earth, and the perihelon is when the Earth's orbit is closest to the sun. So when those three things line up, that means that the tides are going to be a lot higher. And in some cases, it can and has caused flooding. The other result is that you get a distinct and a very, very large range of tides over the year. Lauderdale-by-the-Sea has a livability score of 80 out of 100, which is considered exceptional. And why not? The town's motto is relax, you're here, which is why this little beach town is so popular. If you like this video and you got some useful information, please consider subscribing to our channel and check out our other video on things to do in Lauderdale-by-the-Sea. Thanks, and take care until next time.